All right, everyone, Joe here, and back again with you for another deep dive.
Hey, everybody, Sunny here.
And you know how we always like to kick things off with a little slice of life, a little glimpse into the chaos that is our existence.
A little bit of behind-the-scenes action.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. My foray into the world of gourmet cooking took a turn this week, a hard left turn.
Oh, no.
So, I had this amazing French onion soup at this little bistro downtown.
Sounds delicious.
And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna recreate this masterpiece at home.
Ambitious.
Oh, it was ambitious. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
Let's just say my smoke detector is currently undergoing therapy. I think it's got PTSD from the whole ordeal.
I mean, the smoke detector is important, but how is the soup?
The soup. We don't talk about the soup. Let's just say it's a good thing I have a fire extinguisher handy at all times.
Well, Joe, at least you're trying new things. I guess that's what matters.
Speaking of new things that don't involve setting off fire alarms,
Yeah.
we've got a real treat for this deep dive.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
So our good buddy Micky, Micky, right? Big indie music fan.
Yeah, of course, Micky. Great taste in music.
The best. So he sent over this transcript of a conversation he had with a fig expert. And I got to say, I was not expecting to get sucked into a conversation about figs. But this thing is fascinating.
Micky always knows how to find the most interesting stuff. I knew it wouldn't be just some boring botany lesson.
Not at all. This goes deep, like seriously deep. It's got biology, it's got philosophy, it's got me questioning my entire existence.
Oh, okay, you've got me hooked. Now I have to know what this fig wisdom is all about.
All right, so buckle up, because we're about to go on a journey here. It all starts with a question that I think we've all pondered at some point, maybe while snacking on a fig Newton. Do figs eat bugs?
Do figs eat bugs? It's one of those questions that seems so simple, but I bet the answer is more complicated than we think.
Oh, it is way more complicated. It's like opening up a Pandora's box of botanical intrigue. So, Sunny, what did the fig expert reveal?
Well, the simple answer, and I'm going to warn you, it's a little creepy, is yes, they kind of do. But to understand why we need to get into the nitty-gritty of how figs and a specific type of wasp have this incredibly tight-knit relationship.
Wait, hold on. So we're talking about wasps and figs having a thing. This is already getting good.
Oh, it gets even better.
Yeah.
So you know that fleshy part of the fig that we eat, what we think of as the fruit? It's actually not a fruit in the traditional sense. It's called a syconium, which is essentially a hollow structure with a bunch of teeny tiny flowers tucked inside.
So it's like a secret garden for flowers. That's kind of cool.
It is. But here's the catch. Those tiny flowers need a special kind of pollination, and that's where the wasps come in. Enter the fig wasp.
Okay, so we've got these little wasps buzzing around with a taste for figs. What happens next?
So the female fig wasp, she squeezes her way into the syconium through a tiny opening called the ostiole. It's like a little doorway for her.
I'm imagining her like a tiny little delivery person bringing in the pollen.
Yeah, exactly. She's got pollen from another fig that she's carrying, and she's on a mission to lay her eggs inside this new fig. But here's where things take a turn for the dramatic. Often in the process of getting inside and laying those eggs, the mother wasp gets trapped and dies inside the fig.
Oh, no. That's kind of sad.
It is. It's all very dramatic. But this is where the whole eating bugs thing comes into play. The fig then releases these enzymes that are designed to break down proteins. You can think of them like tiny little digestive machines.
So the fig is essentially digesting the wasp. That's a little bit intense.
Yeah, it is. And the fig absorbs all the nutrients from the broken down wasp as it continues to grow. So yes, in a way, the fig does eat the wasp.
Okay, that is both fascinating and slightly disturbing. But Micky assured us that this whole bug eating thing is totally harmless for us when we eat figs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the time we're enjoying a delicious fig, this entire process is long gone. Any traces of the wasp are completely broken down. It's all just part of the fig's life cycle.
All right, that's good to know. I'm not ready to give up my fig Newtons just yet.
Yeah. And plus, a lot of the figs we eat, especially the seedless varieties, are actually grown without this whole wasp pollination process. They can be cultivated in other ways, so you can really enjoy your figs without any worries.
Excellent. So the fig essentially recycles the mom wasp, but what about her offspring? What happens to those little baby wasps? Do they just hang out in the fig, munching on the flowers?
That's another great question, Joe. And the answer is yes. The wasp larvae do feed on parts of the fig, but it's all part of this intricate symbiotic relationship. Remember those tiny flowers inside the syconium? Well, that's where the mother wasp lays her eggs. And when those eggs hatch into larvae, they start feeding on specific parts of those flowers.
So the fig is like a nursery and a buffet for the baby wasps all rolled into one.
Exactly. It's a pretty sweet deal for the larvae. They get a safe place to grow up, and a readily available food source. And for the fig, it's a small price to pay for the crucial service of pollination.
It's like a win-win situation, except for maybe the mom wasp who gets stuck in there.
Yeah, that part is a little less win-win, but it's all part of the circle of life in the fig world.
Okay, so the larvae are munching away, growing up inside the fig. What happens next? Do they eventually fly out and continue the cycle?
It's actually a bit more complicated than that. The male wasp larvae, they mature first. And guess what their main job is?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
They basically become construction workers. Their job is to dig an escape tunnel out of the fig for the female wasps.
So the guys are the ones who pave the way for ladies to get out. That's interesting.
It is. It's a pretty remarkable division of labor.
Yeah.
And the female larvae matured a little bit later. Once they're ready, they gather up some pollen inside the fig, and then they use that escape tunnel that the males built to fly off and find another fig to pollinate and start the cycle all over again.
That's incredible. It's like a whole little society happening inside this fig.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the male wasps, Micky had a question about them. What happens to them after they've done their duty of digging the tunnel? Do they get to see the outside world?
Sadly, no. Their story takes a bit of a bittersweet turn. You see, male fig wasps in most species, they're actually wingless. So once they hatch and mature inside the fig, they're pretty much stuck there for life.
They never get to leave the fig. That's a little bit heartbreaking.
It is. They have a very specific role to play in this whole system. And once that role is complete, their life comes to an end inside the fig.
What exactly are they doing inside the fig if they can't escape?
Well, besides the whole tunnel building thing, their main purpose is to find and mate with the female wasps that are also developing inside that same fig. It's like a very localized dating scene.
So they find a mate, they help their sisters escape, and then that's it.
Pretty much. Once they've fulfilled their purpose, they die inside the fig, and their bodies are also broken down by those enzymes, just like the mother wasp. It's all part of the fig's nutrient cycle.
It's a pretty short and intense existence for those male wasps. You know, Micky brought up a really interesting point about this whole closed system within the fig. He was thinking about the issue of inbreeding.
Oh, that's a great observation. Micky's thinking like a true scientist. You see, when you've got just one or maybe a few mother wasps laying all the eggs inside a single fig, it's pretty much guaranteed that the offspring are all going to be siblings. And sibling, mating, inbreeding, it's actually the norm in many fig wasp species.
That raises some red flags for me.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that inbreeding can lead to all sorts of genetic problems in other animals. So how do the fig wasps avoid these issues?
That's the million-dollar question, and it seems like these tiny wasps have evolved some remarkable ways to cope with the potential downsides of inbreeding. It's a testament to the power of natural selection. Over countless generations, those wasps that were better able to tolerate inbreeding, they were the ones that survived and passed on their genes. It's like they figured out a way to make it work in their favor.
So it's like survival of the fittest, but for inbreeding.
Exactly. And they also have some other things going for them. They have these incredibly high reproduction rates. So even if some of the offspring aren't as healthy due to inbreeding, there are still plenty of others that can carry on the species. And then there's this interesting genetic quirk that many wasps have, including our fig wasps. It's called haplodiploidy.
Okay. I'm going to need you to break that down for me. Haplo what now?
Haplodiploidy. It's a system where males develop from unfertilized eggs and only have one set of chromosomes, while females develop from fertilized eggs and have two sets. This can actually help to expose and eliminate harmful recessive genes more quickly, which can be beneficial in an inbred population.
That's pretty clever. It's like they've got a built-in system for mitigating some of the risks of inbreeding.
Exactly. They've adapted to their unique circumstances, and it really highlights how what we might consider a problem from a human perspective can actually be a successful strategy in the natural world.
It's all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
What works for one species might not work for another.
That's a great point, Joe. And speaking of perspective, Micky had another really insightful question that I think a lot of us might be wondering too. He was thinking about the fact that multiple mother wasps can enter the fig through that tiny ostiole. So why don't they just leave the same way after they've laid their eggs?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If they can get in, why can't they get out?
Well, it turns out that the ostiole, it's more of a one-way door. It's designed for entry, but not really for exit. The way those scales are structured, it makes it really difficult to go back out the same way.
So it's like a trapdoor for wasps.
In a way, yes. And the process of squeezing through that tiny opening can be pretty rough on the mother wasp. She often loses her wings and antennae in the process, which makes it even harder to imagine her trying to escape.
So even if she wanted to leave, she might not be physically able to?
Exactly. Plus, we have to remember her primary instinct is to lay those eggs and pollinate the fig. Once she's inside, that's her focus. And by the time she's done, her natural lifespan is probably coming to an end anyway. The exit tunnel that her sons build, it's not meant for her. It's for the next generation of female wasps.
So she goes in, fulfills her purpose, and that's it. It's a pretty powerful image.
It is.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what I think is the most thought-provoking part of Micky's conversation. He started drawing parallels between this whole fig wasp dynamic and the human experience.
Oh yeah, this is where things get really deep. He talked about that feeling of entering a place, completing a mission, and then waiting to die. And how that feeling can be pretty unsettling. It really got me thinking.
Me too, Joe. It's such a profound analogy. It makes you think about the trajectory of our own lives. We set out on these paths, we pursue these goals, we dedicate ourselves to certain things, and sometimes it can feel like we're just moving along a predetermined route towards an inevitable end.
Yeah, it's like, are we all just tiny wasps in a giant fig fulfilling our purpose, and then that's it? It's a little existential.
It is, and I think what makes this analogy so powerful is that it taps into some very primal fears that we have as humans. The fear of losing control, the fear of meaninglessness, the fear of death.
Especially when you look at those male wasps, right? Their whole existence is so focused on this one very specific task, and then they're just gone. It makes you wonder if there's something more to life than just completing our assigned tasks.
I think that's a question that humans have been grappling with for centuries.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of life? What happens after we die? These are big questions with no easy answers. But I think the fig wasp analogy reminds us that even though we may not have all the answers, we do have the ability to choose how we live our lives.
That's a good point. We have agency. We can choose to find meaning and purpose in our experiences, even if we don't know what happens after this life is over.
Exactly. We can focus on living in the present moment, on connecting with others, on finding joy in the little things. We're not just mindless drones following a pre-programmed script.
I think that's a really important takeaway from this whole conversation. Micky started with this simple question about figs and bugs, and we ended up on this deep philosophical journey. It's amazing how nature can inspire these kinds of reflections.
It really is. And for everyone listening out there, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What resonates with you about the fig wasp analogy? It's definitely something to ponder.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
While you're pondering that, you should definitely check out Micky's YouTube channel. He's got some amazing music on there. He's super talented.
Yeah, Micky's the best. And I hear he might be branching out into some other types of videos too, maybe some whiskey unboxing, maybe some travel vlogs. We'll have to keep you all updated.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be epic.
Oh.
But for now, keep those existential thoughts flowing, and we'll catch you all in the next deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you later.